Hi folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. Well, every time I go out, I'm learning something, and I try to pass that on to all of you. If I have a great bait that works, I'll tell you about it. And I want to tell you about one of the experiences I had this last week. My buddy Rust and I went up into the Adirondacks to fish for trout and lake trout. You know, I don't do this very often. Years ago, when I was doing my TV show Streamside, a lot of my shows were about catching lake trout and brook trout out of ponds like we have in the Adirondacks. But it's been several years, and I sort of fall out of the habit. So we went up there, and I knew one of the things that I had always used in the past were bucktail jigs. And so I armed myself with bucktail jigs. Now, alas, we didn't catch any lake trout or brook trout. But what happened is, and it's inevitable when you're fishing this time of the year in places where there's bass, is that you're going to catch bass. And we ended up catching a number, inadvertently, of smallmouth bass. And they were beautiful Adirondack bass. None of them were harmed. But the lure that I was using proved to be highly effective. And it's something I've talked to you before, and that is a bucktail jig. And I got to tell you, if I had one lure and only one lure to fish the rest of my life, it would be a bucktail jig, because you can have them tied in different colors, different sizes, and you can make that jig look just like something the fish would eat by moving it, by either trolling it or jigging it up and down, or there's so many ways you can fish something like that. But the jig that I was using was a yellow and white. It's a combination I really haven't used before in a jig, and I thought, well, I'm not sure in this Adirondack Lake what the forage is going to be. So if something of that color, you know, I knew that maybe there weren't bluegills or there weren't perch in these lakes, because if there were, they might not be good trout lakes. So I was trying to pick something that looked like a shiner. And boy, did the bass ever hit these jigs. And the good thing is, when you're using a bucktail like that, it's a single hook, you can usually release the fish without any harm, and that's what I really try to do. So I got to tell you, you know, we look at all the crankbaits and trolling baits and all the new soft plastics that you can have in any configuration. But the age-old, going back in history, bucktail jig is still and can be still one of the most effective lures that you could possibly use. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.